Hello, big beautiful world. Well, here we are with many firsts, or a number of firsts, or a few firsts, or a couple of firsts, or a first. Back where it all began, when 2020 first installed, I flew out of here because I lack imagination and I'm a sentimental fool. This is Camden, to the southwest of Sydney, New South Wales, Australia, where I first took a lesson, or quite a few lessons. We're going to take up the Cessna. I don't want to join, and I don't subscribe to the necessarily the so cool. There we go. Yeah, we're looking good. Don't cut yourself in case there's any nicks. Yeah, we're looking fine. We is looking fine, peeps. Can't check the fuel. Can't sniff if it's more water than petrol, or more water than avgas. Anything else? Nothing else, I don't think, is there? No, let's get underway, shall we? Let me have a look. Oh, I'll set that tracker up. So that's one of the few things, many things we'll talk about. Toby eye tracker. Alright, so let's get rid of that. Yep, we have full. We have full. Gonna give ourselves some beacons, aren't we? We sure is. Let the whole world know. Loving it. So why the 152? Because, as we all know, there's still a number of kinks, quite a lot to work through. As I said, I'm not going to join the chorus of the litany of outrage and failure. I don't subscribe to it, and I will go on to talk about why once we're up in the air. We've still got Tom and Terry. Sorry, Tommy. I am in love, and trust me when I say, if you cats in the States or Britain think you had it bad, us cats, we were second last in the line here in Australia. I think the last being Kiribati. But yeah, there were a lot of people on from Wednesday. We got it, not Tuesday. So and there's a phenomenal amount. Straight off the bat, I want to say this. There's a phenomenal amount that they have not only got right, they have blown me out of the water with. So yes, I've spent 2 days doing the controls for the X56, monitoring this and that. There's been about 3 or 4 major package updates so far where it's installing bits and bobs that I'm not seeing. It's brought a number of aircraft over from my old community folder, and they are comically out of whack. It's brought my beloved Foxmoth over, one of the freeware Foxmoths, and thrown an Oster into the Foxmoth file for good measure. Not an Oster, a Piper L4. The Buget, and it doesn't come up with the textures and stuff, so they're clearly not 2024 ready, if they're going to be at all. Of course I'm hoping they are, especially the Red Wings Bugatti and the Foxmoth, which I love to high heaven and back. So little things like, yeah, we're on idle at the moment, and still she wants to roll. But let's get up in the air. Oh, hang on, I'm not going to do the mag check. Going to make sure. Yeah, rock and roll. We don't need flaps for today, I don't think. West Square. So we're going to take off out of 06. Actually, you know what? While we're here, I'm going to call forth the video thing. Now I only work with colour and brightness, and that green is just not Oz in reality. Is that's kind of sort of it. 40. I'm looking for a kind of quintessentially Oz experience. No. Vibrance. Turn back the colour a bit, yeah. Get that a bit more neutral. Actually, it's probably a little too bleach, but let's give it a whirl. If worst comes to worst, we'll adjust to this. No, that's... hang on. Right, I'm just going to dick about for a while here, so bear with me. Yeah, so the exposure's looking healthier. This is going to be trial and error for a few weeks yet. Yeah, you know what? We're gonna leave. We can comfortably leave that up around the 20 to 30 mark. Shadows, yeah, and gamma. To give it a bit of definition. All right, we'll try that for now. So that gives that I love a sunburnt country look, and trust me, I think it's 35 today, even though it's cloudy. So I forget that what that is. Maybe what's that? High 80s in Fahrenheit. So yeah, I'm gobsmacked. I am gobsmacked. Is this serious bang for the buck? I'm going to be in the minority and say sure is. Hell yeah, go out and grab it. Go out and grab the premium package where you get all the goodies. You don't need the aviators, because that's if you've got the old one. If you've got the old MSFS2024, you seriously, all the add-ons are going to come across anyway eventually. So we're just going to gently get her up in the air. So yeah, I've been poodling about tweaking the sensitivity and stuff. Yeah, it's kind of sort of Oz. Closer than what it was before. Look, we're just going to head over to... I know we're low. Don't get pissy with me. Nobody turns this low, but we're off on an adventure, aren't we? So we're going to head out towards yeah, about 300. Let's see where it gets us. Should get us to where we want to go. So yeah, that's kind of close to the colours of Oz, and I'm alright with that. What's not to love? And I'll tell you, and I don't say that tongue-in-cheek. So yeah, like everyone else, I had issues. It didn't load the first night. It did actually load eventually. I did get a flight in that night. But here's the considerations from my perspective, someone who's been in the IT game for the best part of 40 years. My only central assumption, if you will, first of all, I find Asobo not to be at fault if this is judged, jury and execution like everyone else. I do find Microsoft and the bullshit excuse given about nobody expected these loads. Yeah, you did. I mean, 2020 saw unprecedented number of users coming back to Microsoft. We'd all been hanging for it for 15 years or more, and Asobo, in partnership with it, Microsoft delivered. So, more power, more credit to it. Microsoft for trusting the Asobo team and getting on board with it all. Shame in this instance on Microsoft, because Microsoft owns Azure. It's all virtualized hardware. So if you need another box to cater for additional users, you know, you just build one. You can whip one up in 10 minutes in virtual land, whether you're on Azure or whether you're on VMware, whether you're on what's the other one? The other big one called Microsoft. I don't think it's Microsoft Hyper. I haven't worked with it for a few years, but yeah, you run up a box. You've got yourself a box, and you might want to throw, if you've got the real estate, the physical hardware to accommodate it, and they have. I don't doubt for a second they have We're talking about one of the largest conglomerates on earth. They that'll do us. Don't need to get too high. Bloody hell! What was I thinking? See, in my fit of rage. So yes, they could have run up they could have built a server farm. You could have had a night shift team of 10 to 16 people running up boxes, and in 20 minutes they would have had additional coverage. Now, there's all kinds of constraints with that. We know that because of the copper, and yeah, let's get our trim in. You know, the copper point. So any speed, any contact speed is only as good as when it hits copper, as opposed to fibre or anything else. So I get that. There would have been constraints there, sure. But, and I think Asobo is just being a tad apologist for Microsoft, who, if I'm not mistaken, are hosting the real estate, you know, the hardware and the virtual environments. If that's not true, then yeah, I'm off the mark. But if that was how I was putting this whole shebang together, that's how I go about it. So yeah, I think, that all being said, here we are 3-4 days later in most instances, and I am in love, just like just like the first time. And as they always say, nothing is ever like it is after the first time, except, depending on how you want to abuse the metaphor, the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ad infinitum time. Because we are in love, people. We are in love. As I said, a lot of stuff didn't port over, hasn't yet ported over, but it's only fair that I take up the 152, just like days of yore, and see what's what. I haven't done much in the way of. It's my co-pilot, looking remarkably like my missus actually, which is kind of convenient. But the first time I used it, this is what I did. I brought her over here. Oh, come on, just let's get it down to 1500. It's going to be a standard flight. We don't really need it much more than that. Cool, and a pool. So yeah, it's still twitchy. Fun kid. As you can see if you're watching the VSI. But it's absolutely gorgeous. I've only taken up the 152. What else have I poodled about with? Come on. You're going to find your balance or what? So, and also the turbulence does seem a little bit out of whack. A little bit out of kilter. It'll throw you a couple of 100 feet. You watch when we get down in the waterline here over Lake Burragarang. So we're just going to take a quick trip up. Now the first thing I did last time around, I never recorded it because I wasn't thinking of recording when I got 2020. That was only after the inspiration of all the content developers up here that I kind of started following suit because they weren't flying the kind of planes that I like. But the first thing I did was take her up over Warragamba, and that'll be this puppy right here. So yeah, it's quite mind-blowing. There's no, there we go, there's pop down as opposed to a pop up to give it the water level line. But again, I forgive that. There's a lot to that just has my wow factor happening. So this is what we're looking for. There's the northern arm down into Lake Burragarang, which is Sydney's main water supply. Lake Warragamba Dam here is Sydney's main dam. So yeah, doubtless somebody sooner or later will animate the steam coming off it and all the rest of it. But and we'll get the usual freeway crowd that we all love and know so much. But it looked a whole lot worse. If you're still flying 2020, compare the two for yourself. I won't do a comparison. No call for it. The summer water is brackish as hell, but in the winter light it can be quite beautiful. this is what I'm finding so far. So remember, guys and gals, this is only 4 days in, and I was expecting it to be unstable for substantially longer, if I'm to be entirely honest. So you get some of the jaggies like there on the right as it finds its context. I have absolutely no doubt, based around what I've seen the past couple of days, this is all going to improve. No, so yes, for the jaggies there, these Lloyd Wright monstrosities, but remember the water sweeping halfway up the mountainside? Little things that we took for granted and had grown used to and accepted. They've seen major changes. The rock quality, the limestone, sandstone formation quality, the textures themselves, the tree variations. It's really something else. So yeah, as I said, they've put it across a number of aircraft for me, and in fact I'm a little bit kind of pissed off because I did do one last flight in 2020 last weekend, but for some reason my HyperX Quadcast mic wasn't working with it at the time. The new NVIDIA app does not like the HyperCast for me, HyperX Quadcast. So I took the bold step of going back to a product I'd only poodled about with vaguely a few years back, OBS. So I'm recording in OBS for the first time, which is kind of cool. And hopefully it's all going to work out very tickety-boo. So little to no turbulence. Last night when I was birdling about, man, the wind was up, it was wild. I was getting chucked from pillar to post, and it was fun. It was hellish. It was fun in all the right ways. Unlike the real aircraft, where I've got to admit, even when I'm flying in GA, it's first 2,000 feet, if it's even a remotely turbulent day with 5 to 10s on the crosswind, I suffer as I get older, I must admit. Hence, you gotta love the simulator, don't you? Anyway, that's about it. We're going to pull back over towards Camden now, get it down on the ground. So there's going to be more in the wings. There are no slouches. I definitely cannot, will not, must not. It's not even, I can't in all good conscience subscribe to the notion that this is a shit product. It's clearly not. It's quite outstanding and delivers, now that the dust is starting to settle, now that they've got to measure on what the real estate is that they actually need to get all of us suckers up here. We will, over the course of 2 weeks, start maybe kind of sort of regretting some of the lovers' tiffs we've been having with it all, because it's well worth the odyssey. I haven't taken any of the challenges or anything yet. I've just been flying out of my beloved places. This line here, together with one further south, well, hey, is one of the ones that traditionally used to cost students out of Camden their lives, because on graduation day they would fly under the power lines up towards Warragamba and down the south end of Lake Burragarang. Now if you ever watch one of my earlier videos, you might hear me talking about that. Yeah, mercifully, you know, the CASA is substantially more strict now, and there's a great deal more sobriety now than when I was first flying, so I'm grateful for that. Still a tad dark. Look, I don't know, so let's hit pause, let's hit active pause, let's come back here, because we're trying to find that perfect balance between interior and exterior. Yeah, it's all mad science, isn't it, really? Let's leave that there, -14. Okay, let's that gives us a healthier blend. Doesn't make it too saturated on the colour. Does give it that kind of blinding Australian day. As you can see, it is sunless today. Although down here in Melbourne, it's actually pretty cloudy all day. But 35 today, rainy and 30 tomorrow, so The world, beautiful people, is turned upside down. I do hope they get the Tobii eye tracker in line soon, because I'm using jointly Tobii and a POV that I've set up on the stick itself, on the X56 stick. I do look forward. You know, the truth is, I'm not sure if Red Wing will bring the 1935 scenery across. It's my desire that they will, and hopefully I won't get slugged for an extra costs left, right and centre from everyone, not just Red Wing. But that being said, I'm going to leave the MSFS2020 config the way it is, because although it takes 22 minutes to load as opposed to the 3 minutes this takes to load in for me, unless it's loading new packages, in which case stretch that out to a princely sum of about 5 minutes. That's pretty cool. Ordinarily, if it's hitting a pre-cache scenario, then it's only less than 2 minutes, which is absolutely mind-blowing. One thing I wish they would do is, as they did with the last, with the 2020, is create different music. So you've got your preliminary load-in splash music, but once it is loaded up to your main page, if they could create different music, because what that did was it alerted a lot of us users to go, oh, that's right, I can go back into the sim now and do my shit, you know. That's something that this one, remaining on the one soundtrack, really isn't accommodating of. But all of the usual diatribes against how poor and this was for the launch, I think Microsoft have to fess up at some point and go, yeah, we could have, and I know they have, you know, and this is what I love. I'm not sure if Jorge and the crew are solely, or Jorge and the crew are solely Asobo, or jointly Microsoft Asobo, but they apologised from the first day, and that is pretty freaking cool as far as I'm concerned. They apologised for the, again, and they were telling porkies as far as I'm concerned regarding not anticipating the volumes. I think they were making apologies for the architecture crew over at Microsoft themselves. But that being said, I reckon, like I said, for technically Australians and people from Kiribati and what is acknowledged on our side as the Pacific Rim, and the rest of the world tends to be the Western Pacific, we theoretically should be screaming the loudest, but we're not, by and large. I think we've given it the 48 hours because we had that feedback loop that you know, that the rest of the world had put out, so we kind of knew what to expect, kind of, sorta. Man, it's so lovely. It's just so lovely. Yeah, I was about to swear big time, more than I already have. But that being said, we as you can see, I mean, I'm not getting the load-ins, I'm not getting any stutters, no great heartaches. You know, doubtless bloatware will fill it all up in time, but I think this is what was promised, and outside the very difficult honeymoon, it has delivered more than I could have dreamed. Look at the transparency of that water, that dam. You know, it's just stunning. It is just stunning. So yeah, it's let's just call up the EFB for a tick. Come out a bit. Yeah, now we just pull directly south. Yeah, so it's quite outside the oddities, and I'll try and show you actually. I'm just going to hit pause for a moment. Oh no, I won't. Forget about my name up there. Yeah, it's little things like the Bugatti doesn't have the instrument load in. A lot of the freeware we'll see come over in time. Why I'd actually put the Foxmoth in there, I've no idea, because that was in community. The community folder, by the way, is a little more difficult. It's on the C drive now. I actually have this, all my Steam, this is a Steam version of MSFS. Yeah, the community folder is still in the C drive, which I found a bit odd. I would have liked to have installed this separately, and I may yet do it at 50 gig. Again, now that the dust has settled some, we'll may just be able to yeah, let's bring it around. I like the little fork in the river here. Again, the flight dynamics little too underwatery, if I'm to be honest, and that's true of a couple of aircraft I've flown. But all of this will get sorted out in time. Again, you can see we're copping a bit of flack. No shake. I think MSFS Realistic is now configured for MSFF Realistic Pro is now ported to 2024, so I've got to think about updating that. But as with everything else, I didn't want to tamper or put anything into it until not for the first couple of weeks anyway, because I want to get used to this in its native state and see what it's all about. Do we yeah, I'll give it one step up, lads. Yeah, come on, calm down, bub. Not that we need it, but we're just going to chuck it on there anyway. So I know for the small amount of people who watch these videos, there'll probably be a litany of anger, and I'm nobody's apologist, and I'm nobody's fool either. I just cannot, in all good faith, subscribe to where everyone's been coming from. Yes, it was a truly difficult rollout, and yes, I do think porcupines have been told, but oh yeah, the other thing I love is the landings in this. It just feels like butter. Just stunning. Such excellence. Squirrely on the ground. Let's get our flaps up. Missed our turn off. Look, we'll pull in at the last one. I think we've got one more. And then come back past the ATC. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't expect this to be, honestly, as compelling as it was. I wasn't thinking negatively about it, but I also didn't think for a second that that's interesting. I've got to configure the brakes. Let's do that now. Cool. Controls, rudders, brakes. Tool parking brakes. Photo brake. Let's clear that. What do we got? We're going to call. I don't like this either. The fact that it can arbitrarily throw up duplicate file when in fact any number of points. There we go. So now I've got to get her off the runway because the ATC crew will be very, very cross with me. Yeah. So, put down your comments, what your experiences are, whether you've lost faith, whether you're giving it all up, or going back to 2020 or whatever else. I am genuinely interested because for me it is a monumental launch, not only in the approach they're taking with the cloud-based stuff. The other thing that as I mentioned before, I do think that they're using Copilot or AI to a certain extent to port across some of the settings, because there was absolutely no reason to it was interesting, the windsock buried in the trees. Not quite right, crew. Where are we? There we go. Yeah, having a tough time of it today, guys. Yeah, I think the AI they're using for a porting tool, probably not the best method, because AI is, I find people, and I'm not to crap on it, but it wants to be loved, therefore it's going to lie to a lot of people, and people like you and me, and even developers at large, because it's going to say, oh, this is what you're after, when clearly it's not. Anyway, that remains to be seen. This is all conjecture on my part, an assumption on my part. I suspect I'm not too far off the truth though. But you just saw for yourself, that was a flight up to Warragamba, and so we got to pop up and pop down, and we've got some artifacts in the rock work, but it just was supreme. And now as we pull off onto the grass, there we go, over the lip, and we're down. Give her a bit of juice to get our back wheels over, and down we come. Actually, there we go, a bit of cross country, never hurt anybody. Perfect. So where's this lever? There's one other thing, mixture to kill. Doesn't really kill, or does it? It does. It didn't yesterday. It just idled out and all the rest of it. So looking down, no, you buffhead. Off, we're square. And the other thing, let me see, come down. Now in terms of, yep, so can I hop back out? See, you hop in automatically when you open the door, but you don't hop out. So I don't know if there's a way to hop back out of the plane. If any of you cats are doing that, please let me know, just to close it out in case you want to get out and pat yourself on the back or whatever. Alright, big beautiful world, it's a first, and I'm in love all over again. Catch you later. Bye.